Welcome to day 3 of our 100 days of coding. So today we are going to be talking about CSS. We are going to understand how we can link files to our HTML scripts and how we can style our the structure we've created with HTML. So I gave an assignment on the group, and the assignment was to design a login form. It should have a username, input, and an email user and a full name, username, email, and password. Then there should be a submit button at the end, and the submit button should be wrapped inside an anchor tag so that when you click on it, it takes you to a page that shows you the profile info. So for this guy, let's go back to our screen. Okay, so this was our previous code we did. Let's do a quick recap. We spoke about div elements, then we spoke about h1, we spoke about the p tag, and then we used the break tag to break our code's text that's very long so that it doesn't go from one end of the screen to the next. Then we spoke about the different input tags we have, the different input types we have. We spoke about button, files, and every other one. So now we are going to be using these guys, but we are going to be styling it with CSS. So we want to make it look a little bit good, a little bit beautiful, or I don't know the word to use actually. So that's just basically the idea behind this guy. So for this tutorial today, we are going to be creating a new folder. So we are going to come here, create to3, which is a new folder, to3, and then inside to3 we are going to create another folder called day3, and then inside day3 we are going to create our first file, day3.html, and then inside here, okay, for now let's just use this, and then let's talk about the different types of styles. So to get our boilerplate, shift 1 and enter, it gives us our boilerplate, and then we change here to day3, 100 days of coding. So right now we are right about okay with what we want to do here. So now let's talk about some CSS styling here. So we can just come in here. Let's talk about inline styling first. Let's come here and let's say style, and then let's change the background color to red. So let's just say background color should be, sorry, what happened here? Background color should be red. So now if we save this file, the background color will be red. So let's Ctrl S, and then let's open this guy on live server. So open it. Now you can see, let me bring it to the screen. As you can see, our background here is red, so you can use inline styling to change it. So okay, let's change it to blue so that you know that is our code that is changing it. Probably you think maybe I'm doing one magic. So our background color now is now set to blue, and then let's go to our browser again. Okay, we've not saved, so Ctrl S to save. Let's go to our browser. Let's go to our browser. So let's go to our browser. You can see it has changed to blue. It has changed to blue. So you can see that we are the one changing it. Okay, so let's create an h1 text. Sorry, I'm coming. Okay, I'm back. Let's create a H1 here. Let's just write H1 and then let's say day 3. Let's just copy what is here, 100 days of code. I can't be typing the same thing again. Okay, so day 3. So now let's change this color to white. So let's write in style. So now for you to write your inline styling, you need the keyword style. You need to bring in the style elements here. You need to call the style elements on the syntax you want to style. So now we have this, and then we can just say color. So remember, for our background, for our body, we use style, background, color. Now we are just using color. As you can see, VS Code is already giving me suggestions on what I want to type. So I can just click on color and then let's just say white. You see it has given us white again. So let's save and then let's go to our browser now and let's see what we have. You can see our 100 days of coding is now in white, but inline styling is okay if you want to do maybe small style, minor stylings. You can use your inline styling. It is not advisable to use inline styling for a very big project. Let's say you want to design a landing page for a delivery website or maybe a digital agency or thereabouts. It's not advisable to use inline styling. You can create a style sheet separate from your code so that you know everything inside there is just style. It's just about your style. Yeah. So also let's look at our DOM relationship again and see how we can use it to affect our style. Yeah, so if we come back here and we open our DOM relationships here, our DOM tree rather, when you open here, let me zoom it so that you can see it very well. I hope you can see it very well now. So you can see our document and then you can see our HTML as the root elements, and then you can see our header and our body. Like I said, majority of what we are going to be doing is going to be on the body. So everything you see on the browser, everything you can interact with is majorly on the body. The header tag is just where your title and your links are stored. You can also insert your styles in your header tag. We are going to be doing that shortly. Now I just want to explain to us how parent and child relationship works and how we can use it to style elements here. So now we can see the body. If I'm styling the body, the style goes for everything inside the body. Yeah, if I'm like, we change the background color to blue, which means everything inside the body, the background color will be blue, except we manually override it. That is, except we go to that individual element and change the background color there. But if you don't do that, if you are not doing that, then the background color you set for the body is going to affect everything inside the body. So the background, the body is the parents of everything inside it. So it will have children, grandchildren, great grandchildren, and thereabouts. So this is a family tree on its own. Yeah. Now we talk about you can also have different elements. We spoke about div in the last tutorial. Div is not here. Div is a container that you can use to create dynamic style. Yeah. So that's basically it for this DOM. Let me just minimize it out of the screen. So now we've spoken about inline styling. We've not really gone in depth into inline styling, but I'm not going to push for inline styling very well because we are not going to be using it. I advise against it, except it's a necessity, something I don't think there's any scenario where inline styling becomes a necessity. Yeah, you can always refer to that particular elements from your style sheet. So with that being said, let's get rid of the inline styling. Again, for you to use an inline styling, you need to use the attribute style. Okay, let's open the DOM again. There's where it mentions attributes here. Attributes are basically additional um, syntax that you add to your built-in HTML syntax to enable you to do extra things, yeah, to add extra functionality to it. That's just attributes. That's just what attributes is. So as we go further, you are going to be seeing different attributes that we are going to be adding to our different syntax. So let's just get rid of our inline styling that we did already, and let's put our style inside the head. Let's put our style inside the head. Yeah, so now we have h1. So now let's come to our head tag. Sorry, my phone is ringing. So my phone is ringing. I just put it on silence. Let's come to our head tag. Let's call the syntax style. Yeah, let's call style. So now inside this style, we can put all our styles we want to use inside this style. We can put all our style we want to use inside this style. Also, this is not a good practice if you are writing a very big code. If you just want to write maybe like a small code, something very small, like the styling is not going to be very big, then you can use this guy. You can put your style inside your header tag, because the more style you write, the more HTML you write, the more CSS you write, the bigger your code is. So for management, to make it easy for you to manage your code, it is advisable to separate it into different files. Yeah, I'm going to be teaching you guys how you can separate it and also link it to how to link your HTML and your CSS style. Yeah, as we go on, we are also going to be seeing how we can link our JavaScript file as well. So for this guide, we want to style our body. So as you can see, it already gives us a prompt. This is a plugin I installed. I've forgotten the name of the plugin, but I'll make research and tell you guys the plugin so that you can also get prompts like that. So let's just type body, and then coily braces. We use coily braces with this guy, with our style. When you are writing CSS, you use coily braces to define what you want. So as you can see, it has already given us a background color. Yeah, it has already popped it up already, so we can just follow its background color. Background color, let's give it what's this color? Let's say black, shall. So a background color of black. Let's put this on a new line. So now let's save it. Let's see if it reflects. Let's go to our browser, and then our background color is now black. We see our styling is working. Our background color is now black. So let's talk about attributes and some other things. So before we talk about attributes, let's style our h1. So we can just say h1 coily braces, and then let's say our color. Our color, let's make it white. Our color is white. Let's save our code, and then let's come back here. So you see now day 300 days of coding is in white. Yeah, so this is basically two types of styling I just showed you guys. Now let's talk about attributes and how attributes works. Yeah, so there are some attributes. As we go further, you are going to be seeing stuff like class. Let me just copy this guy and paste it back. And I'm going to explain to you how they relate. Control V, and then we have an ID, and then we have the name, tag name. So let me just put this guy here, tag name. So tag name. So we've already looked at tag name already. What we did here, we used the tag name to style the different um, sections we want to style. We use the body tag name to style the body, so you can see it's just the same. Tag name here, tag name here. Now the next we are going to talk about is the ID. Basically the ID is more precise compared to the class. It is in the scale. In a scale, first of all you have the tag name, then you have the ID, then you have the class. Personally, I use the class for majority of what I do. For majority of the codes I write, I use the class. I don't just know why. Probably it's because it's cooler, or I don't know. But I use the class name personally for what I do. But there are places where you cannot use the tag name. Let's say if we have more than one H1. Sorry, Ctrl Z, Ctrl C. Now, if I want these two texts to have different style, I can't use the tag name, because the moment I use the tag name, it looks for every tag name that has H1. So if you are building like a very big website, a complex website, you are definitely going to have more than one H1. And if you are using the tag name to style it, then you are going to run into problem, because maybe you want your first tag name to have a particular color or a particular font, and then you want the other H1 to have a different color. You're going to have issues, because you are using H1 here and you can only style it once. Yeah, so this H1 is going to look for every H1 in your, what's it called now, in your body, in the body element. Is going to look for every H1 and it's going to change the style to it. So that's where ID comes. ID, you can give it different ID name or whatever ID elements you want. So let's give it, for example, let's say space ID. So let's give it header 1, and then let's give this an ID of header 2. Let's just copy this guy here. Ctrl C, click here, space, Ctrl V. Let's call this header 2. Now, these two elements have different ID name, so we can style two of them differently. Yeah, I can come here, instead of using H1, I can take out H1. Now, to tell the CSS that this is an ID, I'll have to use a hash signal, or like some people call it, a pound signal. Yeah, you put your hash, shift 3 will give you hash. Yeah, shift 3 will give you hash. Then I say header 1. Now this automatically tells the browser that this style is only for header 1. So let's save and let's see if it works. Fingers crossed. Let's see. So now we see it still works. Our header 1 is this color. Yeah, we did not specify color for our header 2. It's showing, but it's black. By default, your browser display everything text in black. So now let's go to our text editor. Now let's just copy this guy here. Ctrl C, enter to go down. Ctrl V, header 2. Now let's change this to blue or red. Let's just use red. So our header now is red. Let's Ctrl S to save it. Now let's come to our browser. As you can see, we've now styled two of them. Both of them are H1, but they are carrying different style because we are using different ID name. You can use ID to write your code. It's very cool. It's the same thing. But there's also your class. Now ID also targets it, is more precise than class. You can use class for a general styling, to style general style or thereabout. So now basically what happens here is this: everything you write, everything that has the ID of 1, everything that has the ID value of header 1 or id value of header 2 is going to carry the same style. Yeah, it's going to carry the same style. Now if we look at that, now let's talk about class. So we've spoken about tag name. We use tag name for the body. We've spoken about id. We use id name for our header. Now let's talk about a div. Let's talk about a div. Let's say div. You can just say div dot. Let me give you a shortcut. Div dot. This dot means class. Hash means id. Dot means class. So when I say div dot, I can just say body. Div dot body. No, let me not use body again. Div dot contents. Yep, let's say enter. So you can see it creates a class name of contents. Yeah, I can style this whole div now with this class name. So let's copy the class name, which is contents. Let's come here. You are going to see the difference. Now to write a class, you put dots, then paste your class name, curly braces. As you can see, they all have different colors attached to them. The tag name is displayed on red. VS Code displays it on red. The ID is displayed on, is this purple? It's purple, I don't really know colors. Then the class is displayed on green. So now we have contents here. Yeah, so now we can just say background color. Now let's override the background color for our contents. We want the background color for our content to be white. So let's say background color of white. Yep. Now let's add some other features. We want the width, which means we want to take it we want the div to take the whole space, the width of the whole width of the screen. So we can just say width to be 100%. Yeah, so now it will take the whole width of the screen, not the whole height. Now let's specify the height we want to give it. Let's say height, a height of let's say, now there are different units of measurement. You can use percentage. As you can see, we use percentage in the width. You can also use pixels, and you can use REM. I don't know what that means really. You can use inch, you can use different, just make your own research to get comfortable with it. Yeah, and choose whatever you want to use. Let's just use pixels, and let's say 400 pixels for the height. So now we want our div, which is container, to take the background color of white. We want it to take the width, the whole width, and we want the height to be 400 pixels. Let's save our changes. Now let's go to our browser and let's see if it reflects. Now you can see it's reflecting. It's taking 100% of the width. It's taking 400 pixels of the height. Now as you can see, there's like a little bit of space here. Yeah, to get rid of those unnecessary space, let's come to our body, and then let's say padding, which is the space around within an item, to be 0, and then margin, which is the space around an item, to also be 0. We want it like that. Control S. So now we've gotten rid of all the unnecessary space around it. Yeah, now it's now reaching the edge. It's now going to the edge. So now we have a margin of 0, a padding of 0. So we just did a style. We inserted our style inside our header. Now, like I said, this is not a good practice. I mean, look at what we've done. Not too much. We just did 3 things here, and look at our style already. You now have to scroll, you know, and when you start writing bulky codes, it gets even worse. So the best thing to do is to create a style sheet separate from your code, from your HTML code. So now we are going to create a style sheet. So to create a style sheet, what we need to do is just come here, come to our D3, click on new file, create style.css. I like calling my style sheet style.css. So now the CSS extension helps it tells your browser that this is a style sheet. So now let's go to this place. Let's just cut everything inside here. All the style we've already done. Ctrl X to cut. You can delete this guy, this style here. No need to change anything here because the style will still be the same. It will still reflect. Ctrl V. Now let's link our style sheet to our HTML. So now here we just use the link. We use our link, and then you see style sheet, and then we just put your slash inside your tutorial 3, go to day 3, go to style.css. Now we've linked it. Let's just save it, and let's see if our style reflects. Sorry, before we go there, let's save our style first. So let's save our style. Now let's see if our style reflects. As you can see, it's reflecting still. There's no change because the style we did before, we just cut it and paste it inside the style sheet, and it's still reflecting. So with this now, we can go ahead and start creating our styles. Yeah. So now, based on the tutorial we did the last time, I gave an assignment that we should create a login form. So let's see how fast we can create the login form. I'm going to try to be as fast as I can to create the login form. So first of all, let's remove the background color here. Yeah, and then that's it for the body. Let's take this guy out, our H1 and H2. Let's clean our code a little bit, and then let's come to our HTML. Let's clean it also. Yeah. So now let's create a div. Let's give it a class name of wrapper. So it's going to wrap every of our code. Yeah. And then this div, let's create another div inside of it and call it contents. Now this is going to house the form itself. Now inside here, let's create a form. Let's give it a class of form, and then this form is going to take the inputs. So now, so for the actions, let's take it out for now. The form is just going to be a static form. So inside our form, let's have a label. This is going to be, let's take out the form, default for now. This label is going to be for the full name. Should we use a label? Okay, let's just use a label though. And we are still going to use a placeholder. So this is going to be for full name. Sorry, that's not supposed to happen. Full name. So full name, and then let's have an input. Let's wrap it inside a div. So we are going to see how the div works now. Let's Ctrl X. Let's just put it inside a div. This is how I like to write my code. Let's call this name full name. So we are going to be using camel casing here. Camel casing is basically the next, we are joining two words together. The next word starts with a capital letter. Yeah, that's what we are going to be using here. So we are going to paste our label inside it, and then here we are going to use the input tag. So we are going to give it a text, and then now we are going to add a new attribute to it, which is called placeholder. And then we are going to instruct the user on what to do. So we are going to say enter full name. Enter full name. Yeah, everything on small letter. That's just it for this guy. Now we want to do the next one. Let's just copy this guy. Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and then this is going to be username. So yes, let's have it to be small letter user, then name, and then now we can add more than one class to a particular element. So here is going to, we are going to call it item. You are going to see why in a second. Yeah, we are going to call this item as well. All you just need to do to add more than one class name is just put space and specify the new class name you want to use. So this is going to be username, and then this is going to be a type of text. The placeholder will be enter username. So I think it should be capital letter username. Okay, so we are done with this guy. The next one now is the email. Control V, and then now we have here is going to be email. This this guy will be email, and then the type will be email, and then the placeholder will be enter your email. Just enter email. Okay, so I think, okay, password for the last one. So Control C, enter Control V. So this is going to be password. Here is going to be password. And then here is going to be password. So we are actually building projects already. The video is now long. I didn't want it to exceed 30 minutes, but it's now more than 30 minutes. But let's see how fast we can go. Password. I'm trying to explain everything here so that we don't have issues of. Now for the submits, we are going to just make here submit. Is there a need? Yep. Okay, let's just make here submit. Let's take out the label for the submit, and then instead let's wrap it inside an anchor tag. So we are going to link it to a new file. Yeah, just copy our input into it, cut it out and paste it inside our anchor tag. Now we have, here is going to be submit. So now we have submit. Submit does not require a placeholder, but we can give it a class name, a class of btn. Let's just call it btn, short for button. Yeah. So now with all these guys in place, we now have our basic form elements. So let's save and go to our browser. Let's see it in our browser. Let's see what it gives us. So now we have all our basic form in place. Okay, so we have all our basic form in place. We have the full name, username, email, password, and then we have our submit. Now we want to style it. We want to style what we are doing here. So let's go back to our style. Remember, we called our main wrapper. We call it wrapper. So now let's take our wrapper. Let's go to our style sheets, and then let's start styling it. So let's say dot wrapper. And then what we want to do now, we want the wrapper to be displayed as flex because we want our form to be in the middle. So first of all, let's give it a width of 100%. Yeah, let's give it a width of 100%. 100%. Then let's display it as flex. Display flex. Now what we want to do now is we want the content to be justified to the center. We want to justify the content to the center. So justify content should be center. Now what justify content center does is that it brings whatever we have inside our wrapper class to the center horizontally. Yeah, we bring it to the center horizontally. Now we forgot to give it a height, so let's add a height to it. A height of let's say 100 VH. VH means viewpoints, so 100 viewpoints. Now we are saying take the whole viewpoint. We are telling the wrapper to take the whole viewpoint of the screen. Now remember that we gave our wrapper to our parent div, which is the div that takes everything we have, which is this guy here. This is our parent div. We gave it wrapper. Now we don't want to style directly on our body. We just remove the padding and the margin our body has. So we don't want to start styling directly on our body. Why? Because whatever style we insert here goes for the whole page. Yeah, it goes for the whole page, and we might want to add things under that we don't want to carry the style the body has. That's why we don't want to style our body directly. Instead, we created a div inside our body and then style the div. So with that being said, let's go back to our CSS. We've given it a viewport of 100 VH. We've given it a width of 100%. We've made it display as flex, which means make it to float to the left hand side. And now we are now telling it that justify the content horizontally to the center. Now to make the center, the contents center vertically, we need to do align items also to the center, because we want it to be centered horizontally and vertically. Now we need to give it a background color. So background color of, let's use this, well, I don't know how to pronounce that, Shao, but let's just use the color. I think it's nice. So let's look at our content. Let's save it. Control S. Let's come here and save this guy to Control S. Let's come to our browser and see what we have. Now we can see this is what we have. It is now what it's supposed to take the whole screen vertically. Let's see what we did wrong in our CSS style. Okay. Height. Okay, let's change the height to 100%. Let's see if it will change. Let's give it percentage. ID. Let's give it 100%. Let's see if it changes. Oh, it doesn't change. It does not change. So what was wrong? Why did this guy not change? Okay, let's change it to pixel. Let's see if it works. Let's say 400 pixel or thereabouts, or let's say 500 pixel. So Control S. Okay, so the pixel works, is changed. So you can see it has centered everything to the middle. Yeah, it has centered everything to the middle. So let's just make it 700 pixels to take the whole screen. Let's make it 700 pixels to take the whole screen. So now you can see it has taken the whole screen. I think it's even bigger than the screen, but you can see, you get the idea. Basically, we've centered everything our forms to the middle, and then we've given the background a color. Yeah, we've given the background a color here. Now, for the want of time, I'm going to be ending this guy here. We've exceeded 30 minutes already. We are now 40 minutes, so we are going to be continuing in the next tutorial. Thank you. Thank you all.
Are you done?
Peace out.
You fish online. Okay.